Have you ever paused to listen to, not to listen to music, but to voices, different voices around you? Hello, everyone. My name is Trúc Anh, and today I want to talk about harmony. When we mention about harmony, we often think about the image of a choir, where there are different voices. Some are deep, some are bright, some are high and some are low. Some are high and some are low. But these different voices create the harmonious choir. And that is how I think of the community. There are different people, different voices, but they all belongs. The voices has a place. That's why it's create the harmonious inside a community. And a community have many, many groups. There are the vulnerable groups. So today I want to redefining the meaning of vulnerable. When mentioned vulnerable, we often think about elderly people who are living in poverty, children with difficult situation, children with handicaps. But today I want to talk about another perspective of this meaning. Sometimes vulnerable people does not mean that there's something wrong with them. It's not mean that something wrong with them since they were born. Because to me, vulnerable is not an identify, it's a state. It's something that we experience, and we experience it throughout our life. So therefore, anyone can become vulnerable, and any one of us, that can be people around us, our close ones, family, friends, and it can be ourselves. At any time, anyone can become vulnerable. I want to mention a case. It's very popular recently. It's called the timeshare contracts or ownership vacations contracts. And the victim of these cases are mostly elderly, but not the elderly that we often think of. The elderly people who live in poverty or its lack of intelligence is not. They are actually doctors, professors, people with probably higher education, higher intelligence. So the fact that they become victims of scams, it does not mean that they are lack of intelligence or that they are naive. But I want to point out an aspect of these cases. Perhaps it's because of loneliness. Because loneliness can make people think that fake attention is actually care. What these elderly people fear the most is to become unvalued, is to not listen by their families, their children. They are at a point of their life where they can feel very unvalued. And that is what created the chances for the scammers to get into them. Looking at these cases leave me with a lot of questions, and it's like a bullet straight right to my heart. That have I care and communicate enough with my families, and have we care and communicate enough with people around us, so that they would not become the vulnerable groups? Because normally they are not. They become fractal when they made probably a mistake, a loss, a failure, a false investment with this case. So it stated a meaning that it can be anyone at any time. And sometimes is something that a lot quieter, harder to detect, harder to see. It's people with mental health crisis. And I want to talk about a student, a person, a person who go to school every day, go to work, submit their assignments, talk to their friends, communicate normally. They seem normally outside, But we don't know that from the inside, they are breaking. There are some breaking points because of the pressures, the stress, and everything that happened in our lives. We don't know that, but they seem fine. They seem fine outside. And who could that person be? It could be me. It could be you. It could be any one of us. That student, that person was me. I had a period of depressions and my appearance changes dramatically. And for a very long period of time, I was just a normal student, but for a very long period of time, I feel like I'm a disappointment. And automatically I isolate myself. And it was very hard to communicate, to actually find a word to describe what I'm going through or what that student going through is very hard to say. It's hard to speak up. And according to UNICEF Vietnam, 1 in 5 adults in Vietnam faces a mental health issues, but only 5% of the parents recognize these health problems. And this number is very sad. It's sad because there are a lot of things going on. A lot of people, a lot of students are suffering, but very little. But not everyone noticing. Not everyone, even the closest people around them, their families, their friends. Therefore, I believe that if pain is not recognized, it can never be heard. And if people stay in a stage of a depression stage for too long and not speaking up and feeling like they're not valued, they're not listened for so long, they will no longer hold their silence. And the consequences can be negative. It can be positive, it can be negative, but that is the consequences I really don't want to face. And we talk about harmony, we talk about listening to others, but do we truly really listen? Because not every case is the same. Not every case is easy to understand. Not everyone is easy to love. There are complicated cases. The question is, what about those people who are trying to reintegrate? People who might have made a very serious mistake. People who have served their time in jail. People who went through addiction and is now trying to stay clean, trying to recover. What about those people? Because that is probably the most difficult cases. It's a very difficult question because there's two facts. The truth is, people still have to be responsible. People have to be accountants for what they do, what they did. But also, people should not be judged on the worst mistake that they have made in their life, because everyone deserves a chance. And sometimes these people, they already responsible, they already served their time in prisons. But what about the real life sentence? What about the look of everyone else, which is us? The look of everyone around them, their neighbors, their families might want to believe in them again, but they are afraid. Neighbors might have a vicious look, and they might be felt in probably every interview that they have, when every job interview that they might have when mentioned their past. So do we really open the door for them? Because what they need is not a special treatment. It's not how we look at them like a special person. They don't need any privilege treatment, but they need an open door. They need an opportunity, a chance, a path to rebuild to be a part of society again. And the most importantly is to be heard and to feel like they have value. Because each and every one of us, in order for us to stay and to build a community, we have to feel like we're valued. We have values. We bring values to the society. That is how every one of us can build a big community. Because a big community comes from everyone listen to each other and everyone has a place. Everyone deserves a second chance. Because as we know, vulnerable have many faces. It can be a student with mental health crisis. It can be someone who have made a false investment. It could be someone who has been in prison, for example. But everyone deserves a second chance. We do not judge people based on the mistake that we made. And therefore, another meaning of the community harmony is human value. Because each of us has value and we want to bring it to the community. And that's how we feel belong. And that's how we feel our voice is heard. As a person from the Gen Z generation, I hope that we will be open-minded. We will open our heart. We will listen. We will truly listen. And we do not judge. We do not come very quick to a judgment. We do not push people to the edge. That is what a Gen Z generation should do. Not only we tolerate the difference, but we have to respect. And everyone needs to have a place. They need to feel belongs in the society. Because isolation for a long period of time can make people people isolate themselves to the community. And I think that with the community harmony, it will begin when every voice is heard, every voice belongs, and everyone feels valuable. Thank you so much.